Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another video of seeing Murray's series, The Great City of Gateway. This is his latest hardcover book, and I would say most likely the definite edition of the book. It's the only book on sale in his shop right now. So if you are interested in this book, there will be a link in the description down below. So this is his 10th anniversary of releasing his first softcover book of The Gateway. So 10 years later, he wanted to make another book. And this book has an additional 100 pages of good stories and sketchbooks and world building inside. Now, the only thing that I have before we get into it is that I am not a big fan of the hardcover art and selection. In the Kickstarter, they had the image of this art piece a little bit bigger that takes over the whole page. And I thought at least that version looked a little bit cooler in concept, and then there was gonna be some kind of texture pattern writing, like a rectangle down this way, just to be able to fill in the front cover. In comparison, this kind of cover that has the character by himself was pretty cool. It was golden and it has texture. This has like a more smooth leather texture to it, very nice, high quality. And of course there's the texture on the art piece here is engraving, and they decided to go with blue. Funny enough, this image reminds me of the animated movie Atlantis, where they found the power source and it has all of those faces. That was pretty cool. But here we have again the texture of a little bit of a matte texture. So it's different and both very good. But the art piece here selected is, I have other more favorite as an option. So in the soft cover version, this one is glossy, which has its pros and cons, maybe more cons, and they shows with this book. So it's a very nice introduction to the world itself, where it seems like you are a little bit of a stranger to this world, and that they are just looking at you of like, who is this stranger looking back at us, and you want to just sort of go up and meet them in a way, very curious in mind. While on the other hand, with this book, it's a little bit more of a mystery. You really don't know what this book is all about in comparisons over there. And then here on the side we have the word Gateway, Book of Wizzards, and then at the back, completely plain. Then you can see the thickness of the book. Once again, 220 pages of pure goodness. So let's get into the book. Now, what's great about this 10th edition is that the paper inside is matte. It's a little bit of a downside with the glossy paper that, as a photographer and having to pick between matte and glossy paper, it's a small sort of general idea that glossy paper allows for deeper blacks into the print, but the downside is that if you have any kind of light shining on it, it would just reflect. It's glossy. But instead, with now here with this matte texture, it's honestly just so much better. I really like it a lot, and you feel like the book is as old as the writer wanted it to be. So in the first video that I've made, the stories by themselves is supposed to be generally a like a documentation of the city. The style of writing, from what I understand, is that it's more like you've been given a opportunity to read about the creatures, and that is written by someone who lived there, instead of just reading a writer's work and just the writer himself is just writing about the world. The writing style is that you're reading someone else in the world writing about the events that occurred. So it's, I don't know if there's a word for it, of this writing style, but we can see here is that even the pages have added some details that it's been written by someone. The text and font, it has this kind of feeling that it looks like a manual person wrote on this piece of paper, and someone sort of drew some sketch work of what they're writing about. And from turning some of the pages, there's added details that it's not just the artwork of the creatures, but the presentation, that this might be like a photograph, and then these are tapes that tape onto the paper and pages itself. So this added feeling to the book gives a lot of authenticity to it. So once again, there's added artwork. So some of the artwork from the sketchbook that we looked through has made it into this version of the book as part of the world building aspect of the book. Now, because it's matte paper, I do wonder about the color. The color itself feels a little bit less vibrant, if that's fair to say. It might be on purpose to give that dark, grungy feeling to the world and to the nature of this book. It's just something that I sort of noticed when flipping through the page. Is this the same guy? Is this the same guy, but just flipped in reverse? And here, it doesn't look like he's holding a sword here. It looks like he's holding onto something, but not a full-on sword. Let's see if I can quickly find the artwork. There's the trains that I wanted to find, but I couldn't find. And then right there. So that's the sketch versus the final page. The sketch versus the final page. And so he has some floating metal as part of his helmet. They added a ponytail, I suppose, and a new sword. The gun design has also been changed and adjusted. From here, that seems to be just non-stop bandages, just become bandages at the top. The small, like, puff balls remain, though it wasn't sort of hinted here. These just seems to me at the time that looks like bells. And the jacket at the top here has changed just a little bit too. Very cool. So here is where we start to see some of the similar pages from the original book, though it won't be in order. It's just that there's more art pieces added in between the pages of the softcover book and few rearrangements. So here, let's just sort of take a quick look and compare. So this would be somewhere in the beginning. Almost every single page. So here is the original page from the softcover book. And so the font is a very clean sort of, let's say, normal standard art book design. And then the text is very clear to read. Very standard. Okay, and it's nothing bad about that. It's what it is. And then let's go back a couple pages. Right there. So this is a nice comparison between the two art books. From just showing the artwork once again by itself, here we have something that might look like it's a photograph of the person, and then they put some small tape on top to stick it onto the book by itself. And once again, I think there were more adjustment to the artwork than I realized. That the floor on the artwork here is improved, let's just say. Even the signature has changed. So this is 06, this is 08. That is very curious. But I really like the additional texture behind the seams, background here, all the way to the ground. This is a little bit more general, it's much softer, and a small halo effect. There seems to be like a noise filter on top. Not saying that it is noise, but this feeling that this is much cleaner in looks, like it's just digital art clean, right? And then this just has this paper-like texture, and the color is sort of less vibrant, though I'm struggling with some reflective issues as well, and hopefully it comes through into the video. But there is sort of just slightly changes to the color to make it, once again, it's on purpose, I believe, to be more authentic. Let's just quickly check out another page. So here again, maybe it's hard to see in the video, but basically the window in the background got a reduction in brightness and saturation. Once again, there's this sort of washed out kind of feeling to it to make it feel more authentic, that it's like a camera within the world that captured this image by itself. Let's maybe do a few more. Let's go back to this guy. Please protect me, little feline cat. So here once again, like his shoulder pads were desaturated a little bit. A little bit more shadow on his footing here. Once again, it makes the whole thing feel a lot more real and authentic. So there's much additional work obviously done to even the original artwork of this book and to translate it over to the next book. That's really cool. I don't want this video to take too long. This is a whole 200 books after all. And it's just story after story of this world's like mythical wizards. I will slowly skip to the end, just skipping through quickly. that the ending has some nice behind the scenes, another sketch artwork just added into the book by itself. And it's cool once again that this whole book, it's like someone's journal. The font use is like someone's handwriting without having it too hard to read. And then like that, someone who owns this sketchbook would have sketched out the neighborhood, let's say. And then here with this artwork, it has additional art piece. Okay, I need to sort of pause on this one. This is very cool. So in the previous video where I was comparing the sketchbook to the artwork, there were some additional changes to it. And then here we have the previous art book. So the previous art soft cover is on the left side now. And then here on the new book on the right, we have some new pictures framed on the wall, and the picture itself got bigger as well. So we had a mask now added to the image, and then 2 framed images that just gives a little bit more to the story with background art storytelling. So once again, just a lot more story. So this whole section is just things that are not in the original book anymore. It's just more stories. But generally here, I have an entire glossary. Oh my god. That's just awesome. But yeah, basically to bring this video to the end, at the back of the book itself has a couple more sketch work to sort of round out the world itself. Oh, there it is. I knew I saw a rendering of this picture. It was just in this book and not the other one. So here the rendering of the trains. So they seem to hold the same general design ideas. I think the roof was lifted a little bit higher. Only here, this roof was lifted a little bit higher just so that the ball could sort of be in frame more prominently. The smokestack has been changed ever so slightly to add a little bit more detail. Just this one as well. From general holes, these are just circular. We still have the same guy holding his hand up, and it's just like he's pointing towards the trains themselves. It's like a leading line for people to look at it. And then the font changed just a little bit. But yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, that is going to be the end. And then we have the picture of the city, and it's more color coded and easier to read. And we have a zoom out version. Central Gateway Harbor District. This is the city of Gateway. So this should be zoomed out. No. No, zoomed in. And then we have the zoom out, where Gateway is right here. Man, if they just do a full series of this, that would just be awesome. And we have a small note about the author. So that will be the end of Gateway Book of Wizzards by St. Andrew Murray. This will be the only book on sale in his website, and you can find the link in the description of this video. Full 220 pages of pure story of wizards and fantasy world building of this amazing world with a lot of amazing artwork to go with it. And if you like this kind of flip through photo or art book videos, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be going back to doing a few other books in the near future. See you next time.